Hey guys, CJ just dropping in to let you know that this is last week's podcast. And if you like to listen to this week's podcast, you can do that on Apple's podcast app as well as Spotify. That's right, we made it to Spotify. We are big time now. We're what? Okay, I'm done. I'll leave you alone now. You probably want to listen to the podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to a pretty neat podcast, episode 26, and more importantly, episode 1 of season dos. For you layman's out there, that's 2 index fingers. Glad to be back. Another week that I've been alive, as they say. So you might have noticed the new music. Digging it, whatever it is. I haven't picked it yet. That's why I'm trying to pedal around it. I haven't picked it as of the moment, but I'm pretty sure whatever I pick is gonna be pretty good. Hope you enjoy it. If you don't, well, that's your problem. Want to give a shout out to O-Dog, Otis McDonald. Never met him. Never. I don't think people even call him that. For the Hey, I'm Princeton theme from season 1. But I think it's time to switch things up. And I don't know. I felt like, well, I originally got the idea for season 2 from, I think I said this last week. My podcast app I run it through has the option of having seasons. And so I decided every 25 episodes, I'm going to call it a season. Also, I was in the mood for some new artwork and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into this podcast where I just talk about random things and random stuff. Speaking of new stuff, it's not really new. It's actually kind of old now. Game of Thrones is over. For all my Game of Thrones fans out there, who would have thought? Who would have thought that Jon Snow was CGI this whole entire time? Man, spoiler alert. I'm sorry. But no, seriously, this season, season 8, hasn't been a great one. It wasn't a great one. I'm in the camp with a lot of other fans that seasons 1 through 6 were the heyday, were the prime of the show, but season 7 wasn't that bad, even to me. I felt like a lot of the hate and disdain that season 7 got was unwarranted. I think it was a good season for the time they were given and everything like that. But season 8, it was, I mean, visually it was amazing. And that's what Game of Thrones has always been, is visually amazing. But the pace of the episodes and the story and kind of the little things you do, speaking as someone who's worked on the production side of things on projects, it just seemed a little bit sloppy to me. And a large part of that is, I guess, just motivation. I don't know. I feel like the D&D connection, I know their names, but I don't know them by heart. So I am not going to try to say them right now. Look like a fool. I'm not going to look like a fool on my own podcast. I haven't done that ever. But I felt like writing wise, I feel like they kind of got sloppy, and that trickled down to other aspects of production, which led to a mediocre season in terms of Game of Thrones standards. Because I started rewatching the show this week. I'm in season 2 now, and season 1, going back and watching season 1 again, one of the most tightly written seasons of any TV show I've ever seen in my entire life. Every episode from 1 to 10 left me on the edge of my seat, just waiting for more. And I didn't I'm not gonna say I didn't feel that in season 8, because how could you not? This show, I started personally watching in 2015, and I haven't stopped since. But people who have been watching it since 2011 when it first came out, and people who have been reading the book since the 90s, um, you're so invested in this story. How could you not be on the edge of your seat, even for season 8, which is the worst season of the show, and it's so bad that it went on a so bad that it went out on a note like that. But how could you not be on the edge of of your seat for the show that you've been invested in for years at this point? But yeah, man, that it was it's actually a petition. I think it has 1 million signatures to restart, to denounce, quote unquote, denounce this season and restart another one. That's obviously not going to happen. But when you have that passionate of a fan base, I feel like they deserved a little bit more than what they got in season 8. And yeah, it's kind of disappointing, but it happens. I feel like if they would have had the next 2 books that are supposed to be coming out in the series for reference material. Obviously, those books haven't been completed yet, but if they would have had those for reference material, we might be singing a different song now. But let's get off that depressing note and get on to a new one. Aladdin came out a couple of days ago, or it might be coming out tomorrow. I'm not sure. Depends on when you're listening to this. I haven't seen it yet. I'm thinking about going to see it though. I'm really scared though. Will Smith as Genie is just any live action Disney movie in general is gonna scare me. It's just weird. It's so weird to see something that's animated and go live action. Like, I remember Dragon Ball Evolution. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a huge lifetime Dragon Ball fan. I remember Dragon Ball Evolution way back, and that's always left a bad sour taste in my mouth for live action movies based obviously on an animated medium, excluding like superhero movies, because I feel like ever since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, that's what that's meant for. But yeah, I don't. It's left a bad taste in my mouth, and now they're starting to do it with Disney movies. And what is this? Because the Lion King's coming out pretty soon, and I think next year it's coming out. Aladdin, I think I can't name any other ones for the life of me right now. Uh, but I saw something on Rotten Tomato. I think it's got a bad score. I think it's got like a 60 something score. But I think that's just people just preemptively shitting on it. Kind of like I am right now, but I don't I I'm not hoping that it's bad. It's something like weird about it. Like, Aladdin would have been the last movie I would have thought that would have went live action. And now it is. Lion King kind of works because, CGI, and I've seen what editors and movie makers can do with animals and CGI, and it's incredible. The Life of Pi is one of the most beautiful films I've seen in the last like 10 years. So, animals aren't that weird, but like a CGI Will Smith genie, it's just like it's not hitting my head right yet. Plus, there's the notion that, Robin Williams in my mind will always be the original genie. When I've seen people play like games based off Aladdin and stuff, and it's, usually not Robin Williams playing the video game genies and stuff, it always hits your ear wrong and everything. So it's I don't know. I'm trying to think, because have they made a live action Little Mermaid? They've had to, right? Or at least it has to be in the works. But live action stuff like that. What are some other classics? Like a live action Hercules. They could probably get The Rock to reprise his role as Hercules for that one. That wasn't funny. That's What about uh, man, when you need the knowledge on something, that's when it always goes away. What about where's I was gonna say like A Bug's Life, but I realized that's already like halfway CGI. That's computer animation, but that was like the Pixar type thing. Those don't count. Oh, what if they did like a live action Toy Story? That'd be so fucking weird because it's already computer animated already. So instead, you just have Andy, but Andy be a real kid. Oh, man, like that's nightmare fuel for me. That's really nightmare fuel. Um, man, what else though? I'm like they've had to do a live action Cinderella. Like it's already been done in so many other like ways. Like this story is inspired by Cinderella basically, and everything like that. Disney's had to had to like come up on their own intellectual property in live action with that. This is all stuff I should have probably looked up before I got on the podcast. I'm really excited because I did something to my mic where I'm hopefully it improves the sound quality of it. Uh, I basically downloaded some software to basically emulate, or I guess imitate would be the more proper word, to imitate a XLR cable. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a cable that would normally connect a studio mic to a audio interface. But I'm working off a Yeti mic right now since it's the best quality mic I have right now. I Back in the early days of Coolyville, I had a blue XLR cable mic that I bought for $60 from some dude in a parking lot at the Paragon off of one of those like resell apps. Saying that out loud just makes that seem like I should have been murdered that night, but he was on the up and up. I actually got a mic stand with it, which is a really good mic stand actually. I need to put it to use some more, but it doesn't fit my Yeti mic, so I can't really use it anymore. I really want to buy one of those Shure mics. That's like $400. But I know when I want to buy those, I'm gonna want to buy like 2 or 3 of them so I could start having guests on the podcast. I've had one guest, but I actually need to. That's another thing I need to do. I need to get a list of possible guests to have on the podcast because doing the solo gig thing is kind of weird. It's getting kind of weird. It'd be cool. I feel like I would be able to have longer episodes more often if I had guests on the podcast. I know that 30-minute tier list last week wasn't. Oh yeah, that's something that's something that I meant to mention at the beginning of the podcast. I made an oopsie last week. Told you guys that from that podcast forward that I was going to be uploading them to YouTube. That is true for this podcast forward. I got a little bit busy over the past week with some graphic design stuff, and I still have to make the new podcast logo, which is basically just gonna be the same one, maybe a couple of different colors, a different vector image. But basically, I got swamped, and so from this podcast forward, alongside it's still going to be on the Apple Podcast app, but it will also be on YouTube on the Coolyville channel. So go check that out. Still waiting for Spotify. So that's still a thing. But yeah, no, doing solo podcasts is fun. It's kind of weird though, because I'm kind of just doing it like whatever is on the top of my head whatever is on my mind. I'm kind of just throwing it up into the mic and stuff, but it'd be cool to have a conversation with some interesting people. I got a couple of names that I'm thinking about. This is all stuff that I've talked about before. So, in conclusion for this podcast, Game of Thrones didn't end out on a good note. Disney live action movies are kind of weird, and I'm looking for guests. So, it's been about 15 minutes. I'll sign off. I guess that's enough. Hope that music came back in. It's you like it? I don't know what it is yet, but I hope I like it. But anyway, that's going to be it for this podcast. If you would, please follow me on all social media channels. That's Instagram, Twitter. Don't look for me on Facebook. I'm not going to friend you. Probably not. I don't know. Facebook's kind of just like there to be there now. But other than that, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Elite4Fresh. That's at ELITEFOUR, the number, and FRESH, Elite4Fresh. Also, trying to get back on the video wagon next week. Memorial Day weekend's coming up. So I'm coming up on a 3-day weekend. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3-day weekend. Definitely should have at least one video recorded on that Tuesday, and it'll probably come out that Friday. And if I don't do that, then what's new? Well, I'll see you guys in the next podcast. What a shitty ending. Okay, bye.